No one ever imagined it would come to this. The same man who once held 4 wives under one roof is now at the center of a brutal courtroom battle, accused of fraud, betrayal, and destroying the very family he swore to protect. But the truth? It didn't start in the courtroom. It started with the secret, one that tore the Brown family apart from the inside, piece by piece. And once the lies started to surface, no one, not even Robyn, could escape the fallout. If you think you know the story of sister wives, you don't. This is what really happened behind the scenes, and it's more twisted than anyone ever expected. Stick around, because what happens when Christine takes the stand might make you question everything you thought you believed about loyalty, love, and family. Watch till the end and comment your take on who's truly to blame. 3 days ago, a sealed envelope landed on Mary's doorstep. No return address, no stamps, just her name written in Kody's handwriting she hadn't seen in over a year. She hesitated. Her fingers trembling, she opened it. What she found wasn't a letter. It was a subpoena. She was being called to testify against Kody. Court date in 20 days. Charges: financial misrepresentation, custodial interference, and fraudulent property deals involving the family trust. Mary stood in the kitchen, stunned. The house was silent. Her house now, finally. She poured coffee, forgot about it, then poured another. She sat down, stared at the paper again, and whispered, "Is this what we've come to?" The courtroom smelled like old wood, sweat, and tension. Christine sat at the front bench, hands clasped so tightly her knuckles turned white. The judge eyed her as she looked across the room, a place she never thought she'd end up, facing off with the man she lived next to for 25 years. And there he was, same dark eyes, same self-assured smirk, different man entirely. Robyn sat behind him, shaking. Janelle hadn't come yet. Her name wasn't on the witness list, but everyone wondered if she would walk through those doors before the day was over. Stay focused, because what Christine says on the stand next will leave everyone in complete silence, including Robyn. Backtrack to 2 years ago. They were in Flagstaff. On camera, things looked tense but calm. Off camera, Christine had already begun speaking to lawyers. Not divorce attorneys, financial ones. She had quietly discovered something, and Kody had moved the family trust property into a separate LLC, an entity that he controlled solo. Christine didn't even know what the trust was worth anymore. Every wife thought they had joint ownership, shared assets, shared risks. But Kody had changed everything after legally marrying Robyn. Christine knew it wasn't just about land or bank accounts. It was about years of work, her kids' future, the promises Kody made and never kept. That's when she made the first call to a private investigator in Scottsdale. It didn't take long. Within 6 weeks, the paper trail started piling up. Multiple accounts, hidden sales. He'd quietly sold part of the Las Vegas property years ago. Christine kept quiet for a while, until she found out he put Robyn's name on a Flagstaff plot, not just as joint owner, but sole beneficiary. That's when she snapped. You're going to want to hear what her lawyer discovered. Evidence that could send shockwaves through the entire Sister Wives fan base. Inside the courtroom, Mary finally walked in. She took a seat in the back row, her hands in her lap. She didn't speak, but her eyes, they never left Kody. Robyn turned around when she felt her presence. Her lips tightened into a forced smile. Mary didn't smile back. The judge called for quiet. Christine took the stand. "Kody Brown," she began, "told me we were all equals, but what he really meant was that he controlled everything, and we were lucky to be included." A gasp from the audience. Robyn put her head down. "Did he force you to agree to documents you didn't fully understand?" the attorney asked. "Yes," she answered, "multiple times." "Were you given access to the family financial records during your marriage?" "Only what he chose to show us." "Did you ever receive payments from family investments?" Her voice cracked.
No, not once. Right after this, Kody's law makes his move, and it flips
everything on its head. Don't scroll. This next twist changes the entire narrative. Kody's defense team had one move planned, and it hit hard. They pulled out a recorded phone call from 5 years ago. It was Christine. Her voice clear, calm, but what she said, "I don't care about the money. Let Robyn have it. I just want out." They played it twice. Gasps filled the gallery. Even Janelle, who had walked in seconds before, froze in place. Christine looked stunned. "Yes, I said that," she admitted, "but it was the result of years of manipulation and broken promises. You stop fighting when you realize you're alone." Tears in her voice now. She wiped her face with a tissue. The judge nodded for a recess. Outside, cameras buzzed. Reporters chased Mary's car down the block. Christine remained inside the building, alone, in a hallway. Kody walked out smiling. Robyn chased after him. Mary walked the other way. This story isn't done because Janelle's about to file her own motion. What she found in an old email could destroy everything Kody tried to hide. Don't miss the next part. Janelle didn't cry easily. She wasn't the emotional one. That was usually Christine or Robyn, but not her. Yet here she was, 2 in the morning, sitting in a cramped home office, hands shaking over an old laptop, a dusty Dell, the one she almost donated last year. She could have ignored the ping from her old inbox if the subject line hadn't hit so hard. Family Trust Year-End Final Draft. The email was from a law office in Las Vegas, dated 6 years back. At the time, Janelle vaguely remembered Kody asking her to glance through a few things. She had asked him point blank, "Is this about ownership?" He smiled, hugged her. "No, it's just us getting organized." But now, with Christine's court testimony, that smile meant something else entirely. She opened the attachment. What she saw made her hands go ice cold. Kody, Robyn, and an entity called Shadow Pines LLC. Names signed, assets listed, land values in 3 people's names removed. Mary, Christine, herself. Her boy's inheritance gone with one signature. If you're still watching, now is the time to lean in, because what Janelle plans to do next will risk everything, including the last shred of peace inside the Brown family. The next morning, Janelle made a call. Christine picked up instantly. "I found what we needed," she said. "I'm filing a joiner. I'm joining the case." Silence. Christine didn't even breathe for a second. "I thought you might," she whispered. When court resumed, Janelle walked in with her chin high. She didn't look at Kody. She looked right at the judge. "I wish this wasn't real," she began, "but the version of our family that existed on TV and the one we lived in reality, they're not the same." She introduced the email printout as evidence, marked validated by a third party. Robyn looked destroyed, hands shaking. She whispered to her lawyer, "I didn't know. I thought he split things fairly." Kody leaned in and muttered something too low to catch, but it made her flinch. Christine watched every second. Her jaw clenched. The judge's eyebrows rose for the first time in hours. "We'll need to pause to examine this." The gavel hit. Another recess. Christine walked toward Robyn in the hallway, slowly, calmly. She looked her in the eye. "I don't hate you," she said plainly, "but you helped him, whether you meant to or not." Robyn didn't answer. She just nodded. And for the first time, she didn't cry. It's about to get worse, because Mary's moment is coming, and what she says in her 11-minute bombshell testimony will shake everyone, even you. Stay tuned. Back inside, the judge called for the next witness. All eyes turned to Mary. She walked to the stand without expression. Blank, neutral. She placed one hand on the Bible and swore in quietly. The prosecution asked their questions, but Mary only really came to speak once someone brought up her legal divorce. Did Kody explain the impact your legal divorce would have on your status in the family trust? Mary looked straight ahead. No. He told me it wouldn't change anything, just paperwork, she said. Said it was to help Robyn's kids, a formality. He told me no one would lose rights. And did you? Yes, she said. Her voice wavered. But the worst part? It wasn't the money. It was realizing I divorced him for his convenience, not because our marriage was over. And he knew that. Gasps again. Even the court stenographer paused for a beat. Did you ever see any documents confirming your removal from the trust? Not until Christine gave me a copy. Did your name appear on any assets? No. And did you confront Kody's? He told me it wasn't my place to ask about his business. Her voice broke again. Her hands were white-knuckled around her tissue, but she didn't shed a tear. She'd cried all her tears already. Mary stepped down in total silence. Kody didn't look up. Neither did Robyn. Right now, you're probably wondering where this all leads. Because if 3 wives are against Kody, what's left? You haven't had the closing arguments yet. That part will leave you stunned. Keep watching. The judge set the timeline for final statements. 3 days. Everyone left the courthouse quietly. Christine hugged Janelle outside the steps. They exchanged a quick glance with Mary. Awkward, distant, but honest. None of them celebrated, because nothing about this felt like a win. Robyn left separately, head down, no cameras, no makeup. She looked like someone grieving something she hadn't even processed yet. Back at her house, she called her sister. He lied to me too, she said. But she didn't sound surprised, just tired. Her kids were in the next room, sheltered, still unaware of how deep it all went. Kody stayed quiet. No interviews, no posts, no confessions, until one leaked video surfaced. Tim Serpstein in a hotel lobby, talking to a lawyer. When I said my wives, that's what I meant. Property, commitment, control. They knew what this was. That video would later go viral. And in the final courtroom session, the prosecution played it on loop 3 times. Still watching? Good, because Kody's attorneys are about to throw one final Hail Mary. Their last witness will shock everyone, and her name has never been mentioned publicly until now. Stay right here. The courtroom was dead silent until the defense attorney rose and spoke 6 words no one saw coming. We call Madison Brown to testify. Time froze. Christine blinked. Janelle's entire body stiffened. Mary tilted her head like she hadn't heard it right. And Kody? Kody smiled for the first time in hours. Madison, Janelle's daughter, the most private one, the peacemaker, the bridge between worlds, she stood up from the second bench, walked steadily toward the stand, and sat down like she'd prepared her whole life for this moment. She didn't look at any of the wives, only the judge. And then she opened her mouth. I asked not to be involved, she began. But my father doesn't understand the meaning of boundaries. Her voice was flat, calm, too calm. My mother didn't want me to be here, but I found something, and I think you need to see it. She reached into her small black bag and pulled out a printed text exchange between Kody and one of his Las Vegas brokers. The thread was dated nearly 8 years ago. Line after line, Kody gives instructions on hiding proceeds from the Vegas home sales and routing them through unattached accounts, specifically to protect future assets with Robyn. The text ended with a single sentence that changed the entire course of this trial. Get this buried until the show ends. If the wives ask, tell them it's tax stuff. You're not going to want to step away now because this text just turned a family feud into a potential federal case. And the real story is only beginning. The courtroom murmured. Mary whispered something under her breath. Christine's hand covered her mouth. Janelle's face folded in on itself, somewhere between disbelief and heartbreak. The judge looked at the printed page, read it twice, then put it down with slow, deliberate hands. "Miss Brown," the judge asked, "did your mother know about this?" Madison shook her head. "No, she wouldn't have let it slide. And why are you only presenting this now?" "Because no one asked," she said, "and because he assumed I'd stay quiet like always." Silence stretched like wire. Robyn leaned forward in her seat, visibly trembling now. Her lawyer whispered something, but she didn't respond. Kody, still smiling, adjusted his cufflinks, as if this was all beneath him. As Madison left the stand, Janelle stood up from her bench, walked over to the edge of the aisle, and looked her daughter in the eyes. "You did good," she whispered. But Madison didn't stop. She walked out of the courtroom and didn't look back. The judge just requested additional time to evaluate financial fraud charges. This trial just got deeper, darker, and more dangerous. Don't go anywhere. Later that day, in a closed session, 7 more documents were introduced. Emails, receipts, asset transfers made quietly, sometimes in cash, often through shell companies. Robyn's name appeared repeatedly, but always as a passive recipient. No signatures, no directives, nothing tying her to the scheme. The defense used, "She's not an accomplice." Kody's lawyer argued she's a scapegoat for their resentment. Christine nearly stood up. Instead, her lawyer spoke for her. Scapegoat or not, she benefited from every decision made with stolen assets. And then it was Mary's turn. She leaned closer to her mic. "I don't think Robyn is guilty of theft," she said. "I think she's guilty of letting him isolate every one of us, of closing the door behind herself and pretending she couldn't hear us knocking." Robyn didn't react. For the first time, she agreed. She didn't speak, but her silence was different now, exhausted, truthful. That night, Janelle caught Robyn in the hallway. No cameras, no lawyers. "You had a chance to stop this," Janelle said softly. Janelle waited, but Robyn simply replied, "I didn't know how." Before this wraps, you need to hear what Kody tells the press outside the courthouse, the moment everything finally breaks apart. Stick with this. We're almost there. 3 hours later, the courtroom recessed again. Kody walked out ahead of the others. Microphones swung toward him. One reporter asked, "Is it true your daughter's testimony could lead to criminal charges?" And Kody, wild-eyed and reckless, shouted into the cameras, "They turned my family against me because they couldn't handle order. Love without submission is chaos." That clip made headlines in seconds. Public opinion tanked overnight. Forums went wild. Even longtime fans of the show couldn't look away. Inside the courtroom, the temperature had changed. It wasn't about who hurt who. It was about who had lied, who had built a house of mirrors behind the image of polygamy, spirituality, and family unity. And now those mirrors were breaking fast. Don't scroll yet. The verdict isn't in. But someone storms the courtroom tomorrow. Someone none of the wives invited. And it could be the tipping point for everything. Come back for the next part. The next morning, the courthouse was surrounded. News vans lined the street. Reporters tapping out scripts on their phones. Fans holding signs. Some in support, most not. But none of that mattered compared to what happened inside. 12 minutes before court resumed, the back door swung open. A stranger walked in. Tall, clean-cut, he looked like he didn't belong. Security paused. But then he said a name none of them expected. "My name is David Woolley. I have evidence for the court and for Christine Brown." Head snapped around. Christine went pale. Janelle froze in her seat. Mary, for once, seemed surprised. Christine stood slowly, trying to process what was unfolding. She motioned to him, gently but urgently, mouthing, "Why are you here?" David didn't answer. He walked straight to the prosecution's table and placed a sealed folder down flat. His eyes flicked over to Kody, who now looked rattled. Gone was the arrogant smirk. His jaw clenched. He hadn't prepared for this. He never expected David to show up. And yet, here he was. If you thought the tension was high before, this is the moment it snaps. Because what's inside that envelope? It threatens everything. The judge allowed a recess to review the contents. Cameras weren't allowed to see what was in the folder, but 30 minutes later, the courtroom doors opened again, and Christine's attorney stood up with fire in her voice. The document contains a falsified land agreement dated back to 2020. It appears to have Christine Brown's signature, but she never signed it. The courtroom shifted like a wave of needles. Janelle twisted in her seat. Mary looked toward Christine, wide-eyed, her lips murmuring something soundless. Is that real? Christine nodded once. One slow, firm nod. It's a fake, she said. Forged. She stood up, her tone turned steel. I never signed anything in 2020. That was when I was leaving. He knew I wouldn't, and he did it anyway. The judge rubbed his temples. He asked for calm. He asked for patience. David was thanked, dismissed, but the damage was done. If you're still here, thank you, because what the court decides next could open a criminal investigation wider than any of them imagined. And what Kody does after this, honestly, it shocked everyone. As everyone scrambled to adjust strategies, Kody did something no one predicted. He stood up in court uninvited, no prompting, no warning. He asked to make a statement. The courtroom gasped. His lawyer begged him to sit down. The judge allowed it, barely. Kody walked to the center of the courtroom floor. He turned fully, not to the judge, but to the wives, the women he once called my queens. His voice cracked on the first word. I built this, he said, with sweat, with dreams, with commitment. None of you appreciate it. Janelle made a short noise, half choke, half laugh. You called this commitment? She said aloud, unable to stop herself. Kody didn't answer. Instead, he looked at Christine. I didn't steal from you. I protected you. I gave you children, a house, a name, and you left. She looked away. His voice rose. You left and you took the kids, and now you're in court acting like I'm the villain. But you knew the rules. You all did. You benefited from me, from the show, from the money. Playing the victim now is a lie. Silence. Even the judge let it hang, until finally it was Mary who spoke. We didn't take anything, she said sharply. You did. You took time. You took faith. And you buried decades of love under manipulation. Kody didn't respond. There wasn't anything left to say. Next comes judgment. But before that, you'll see Robyn under oath, and her testimony will either protect him or destroy him. Don't leave. Now this is where it all changes. Afternoon, final witness, Robyn Brown. She walked to the stand slowly, deliberately, hands folded tightly. No makeup, no smokescreen. The lawyer approached. Did you ever knowingly accept property or assets signed under false pretenses? No, she said, I didn't know. Did you benefit financially more than the other wives? She didn't answer immediately. Then yes, I did, but I didn't understand why. Christine glanced down. Janelle looked furious but didn't speak. Robyn continued. I loved him. I still love him. But if he lied, if he used us, then I don't want that man anymore. Her voice cracked for real now. I sat in that house alone for 2 years while everyone blamed me. I didn't know what he had done, but I knew something wasn't right. I felt it. I told him, this isn't what God wanted marriage to look like. The courtroom fell still once more. Robyn took a shaky breath. I don't know who he is anymore, she said, but I know he broke all of us. Kody didn't look at her. Too proud, too far gone. You stayed good because the judge's verdict is coming in the next scene, and what he says about the future of this family, you won't believe it. Court was back in session at 9 a.m. sharp. No more interviews, no more statements, no more cameras. Today wasn't about talking. Today, the judge would speak. And as he walked in, everyone in that room could feel it. The shift, the final turn. Christine clutched a set of prayer beads in her coat pocket. Janelle whispered something no one could hear under her breath. Mary sat still, barely blinking, one polished fingernail nervously tapping the bench beside her. Robyn didn't come. Not today. Her lawyer entered alone. And Kody? He was already there. Tired, unshaven, wearing the same suit jacket for the third day in a row. This wasn't the man from your TV screen, the one who danced through family conflicts like a ringleader. This was someone else now, someone fractured by control. The judge opened a large folder, pages stacked with notes, documents, testimonies, and evidence that not even the public would ever fully see. I've reviewed all filings, all testimony, affidavits, financial disclosures, he said, calm but firm. Frankly, I've seen enough. He turned toward Kody first. Mr. Brown, you built your household on the illusion of equal union, but this case has exposed something else. Deception, unauthorized asset restructuring, emotional coercion through control of resources, and you did so while hiding behind the veil of unconventional family structure as legal cover. Kody exhaled sharply, muttering something inaudible. The judge didn't flinch. I forwarded financial inconsistencies to state auditors. Whether criminal charges proceed from there is not this court's decision, but a separate investigation will be launched immediately. Christine's eyes widened. Janelle's hand went to her heart. Mary sat still, barely blinking, one polished fingernail nervously tapping the bench beside her. Robyn didn't come. Not today. Her lawyer entered alone. And Kody? He was already there. Tired, unshaven, wearing the same suit jacket. For the third day in a row. This wasn't the man from your TV screen, the one who danced through family conflicts like a ringleader. This was someone else now, someone fractured by control. The judge opened a live folder, pages stacked with notes, documents, testimonies, and evidence that not even the public would ever fully see. I've reviewed all filings, all testimony, affidavits, financial disclosures. Frankly, I've seen enough. He turned toward Kody first. Mr. Brown, you built your household on the illusion of equal union, but this case has exposed something else. Deception, unauthorized asset restructuring, emotional coercion through control of resources. And you did so while hiding behind the veil of unconventional family structure as legal cover. Kody exhaled sharply, muttering something inaudible. The judge didn't flinch. I forwarded financial inconsistencies to state auditors. Whether criminal charges proceed from there is not this court's decision, but a separate investigation will be launched immediately. Christine's eyes widened. Janelle's hand went to her heart. Mary sat even straighter. Then the ruling. Stay right here, because what the judge says next will completely change the future of the Browns. And one of the children stands up to speak afterward without permission. Turning to the wives, the judge continued. To Mrs. Brown, and Mrs. Brown, you were denied rightful access to marital community property. As such, I'm ordering asset redistribution effective immediately. That includes joint sales previously concealed. Property values and income will be recalculated retroactively, and proceeds split equally. Gasps. Janelle's hand flew to her mouth. Christine closed her eyes silently in prayer. Mary broke. Silent tears fell, but she didn't move, didn't wipe them, let them fall exactly where they belonged, down a face that had endured humiliation for over 2 decades. As lawyers shuffled notes and the gallery whispered, the judge prepared to close. But then a voice, small, shaking, unmistakable. From one of the benches stood SAVANNAH Brown, Janelle's youngest. She wasn't on any list, wasn't old enough to testify legally, but she spoke, and no one dared stop her. I know you don't want to hear from me, she said. I'm a kid. I get that. But I lived through this. Her voice was clear now. There were nights we didn't even see him, birthdays he skipped. When it snowed in Flagstaff, we'd go days without heat, and my mom had to sell her wedding ring to fix the plumbing. Janelle shut her eyes. I used to ask why Robyn's kids had everything, why we didn't even have groceries in the fridge. And every time Mom said, It's not about money, it's about love. But love shows up. Tears now ran down Savannah's cheeks. Christine reached for her. No one moved to stop her. Even the bailiff looked down. Kody stared into his lap. Savannah looked at him. You're lucky we loved you, even when you didn't deserve it. You stayed. Thank you. Because that girl's words, they were the closure this courtroom never planned on. But what happens in the next 10 minutes takes this story to a place no one expected. One more dramatic twist is coming. The judge finally called for order out of respect, not law. Savannah returned to her seat. Court recessed early. Verdict handed down. Asset redistribution confirmed. Future investigation pending. Christine, Janelle, and Mary were free to go, but none of them moved. They sat for a few extra seconds, eyes locked across the courtroom, not as co-wives, not even necessarily as friends, but as survivors, people who weathered the same storm and made it out separately, but alive. Out of the exit hallway, Kody stopped. Now alone, a reporter asked him, "Do you feel remorse?" He smirked and gave the last words anyone would hear from him that day. They were never team players. That quote, it'd go viral that night. Another family member would share it with one word. Exactly. And it wouldn't be one of the wives. It would be Hunter, Janelle's son. The line drawn publicly. Loyalty shattered. One last reveal. The case may be over, but the family, their wounds are still wide open. In next episode, two sons confront Kody head-on. No filters, no courtrooms, just rage, truth, and finally, accountability. What do you think Savannah's words meant to Kody? Or did they even matter to him anymore? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'll be reading and replying to the most powerful ones. There's no gavel this time, no judge, no witness stand, no microphones. What happens next doesn't take place in court. It happens in a small living room somewhere outside of Flagstaff. No cameras, just pain. It's Janelle's house. Quiet, foggy mountaintop air outside. Inside, the silence weighs more than any courtroom ever did. Hunter sits on the edge of the couch, laptop open. Kody's quote pulled up on the screen. They were never team players. He reads it again and again, and something cracks. There it is, he says. That's who he is. Beside him, Gabriel doesn't answer, his jaws locked tight. He hasn't spoken much since the verdict. He didn't go to court, couldn't. Not after how Kody ignored him for over a year when he was sick, when he grieved, when he needed a father. Now the rage finally hits. He called Mom selfish, Gabe mutters, after everything, after she went broke protecting him, after she skipped meals for us, and he still blames her? Janelle walks in holding tea, but stops cold at the sound of Gabriel's voice. Are you sure you want to do this? She asks. It won't go how you think. Gabriel looks up. It won't go any worse than how he left us. Then, without planning, they go. No script, no warning. Within 30 minutes, a car pulls up in front of Kody's rental, Southside property, the one he temporarily leased, while talking about moving again. They knock, no one answers. Hunter knocks again. Then the door creaks open without a sound, and inside, standing barefoot in old jeans and a hoodie, Kody. Gray in his beard now, hair pulled back. He looks older than even the court let on. What do you want? He says flatly. You, Hunter says, just you. Stay with this. What's about to happen isn't a brawl. It's not cinematic. It's not scripted. It's way harder to watch because it's real. A son holding up a mirror his father refuses to look into, and it hurts. Kody steps aside, lets them enter. He doesn't offer coffee, doesn't pretend. They sit, silence, until, don't do this here, Kody says. Don't bring your mom's bitterness into my house. And that's it. That one sentence sets Hunter off. Nobody brought bitterness. He snaps. You created it and left us in it. You think because you convinced people you were a spiritual leader that you're untouchable? Gabriel adds. You want to talk about team players? Where were you when Mom was rationing food? Where were you when I couldn't breathe and needed to go to the ER and you ignored my calls for 9 days? Kody leans back, not defensive, just empty. I had to make choices, he says, coldly. No, Gabriel says, you made excuses, and now you're alone, and you still won't apologize. Hunter leans forward, eyes narrowed now. You know what I realized in that courtroom, Dad? You never loved us unless it made you look good. Silence. You loved the optics, the interviews, the photo ops, but when things broke, when we broke, you disappeared. You didn't leave a marriage, you left your own children. Kody's jaw clenches, but he doesn't interrupt. And then Hunter gives him the final blow. You didn't lose your wives, Dad. You gave them away, willingly, because you thought choosing Robyn meant control, but it actually meant abandonment. And now you're seeing what alone really looks like. That hits. Not visibly, but something shifts. Kody looks down at his hands for just 1 second. Not offering rebuttal, though. Not arguing. Not defending. Watching his son stand united without him. Still here? Good. Because what Gabriel says next is the one thing no one ever dared to say to Kody Brown, and it's the only sentence that actually lands. Gabriel stands now, looks right into his father's eyes. I forgive you, he says quietly, but I'll never let you back in. Kody looks up sharply. Gabriel nods. Letting you back in means I believe you've changed, and I don't. Not even a little. And I think, he adds, voice steady, that's why you're scared of us now, because we grew up and you can't control men. Hunter doesn't speak. He doesn't have to. They walk out without slamming a thing. No curse words, no yelling, just silence. The same silence he left them with for years. Only now it's turned back on him. You made it this far. And what happens in the final hours of this saga is something no viewer ever thought they'd see. Because before this officially ends, Christine and Janelle meet one last time, and something unexpected happens. Don't miss the epilogue. 2 weeks later, one call. Christine invites Janelle for coffee. They meet at a small stone cafe in Utah. The lawsuit, the case, the children, the anger, it all happened. But in this moment, neither of them speak about Kody, about money, about Robyn. They speak like women who survived a storm that none of their viewers could truly understand. I'm tired, Janelle says. Christine squeezes her hand. Me too, but we didn't lose. We untangled. Silence again, but this time it feels different. Peaceful. I'm selling the house, Christine adds. Me and Dade are thinking. Maybe Europe. You deserve that, Janelle says, smiling soft. They don't say goodbye, just I'll call you soon. And they walk out. 2 women, no longer wives, no longer trapped in plural titles, just whole and far, far ahead of where they started. Drop your comments below. One final thought. Did the family fall apart, or did it finally begin healing the only way it ever could? Apart. And thank you for watching to the end. If you want to see where each Brown child is now, follow the next episode, because their journeys may be the most honest part of this entire saga.